What's up, guys? Welcome back to my coverage here for the All Japan Model and Hobby Show 2025. In the previous video, I talked about like a bunch of the stuff that Bandai had there, the new Gunpla announcements, and some other cool stuff that Bandai had to offer. But in today's video, we're going to be going over everything from, well, again, not everything, not going to be super comprehensive, but at least a lot of the stuff that stuck out to me that I thought was cool that I wanted to share with you guys from Kotobukiya, Wave, Max Factory, Aoshima, and more in today's video. So let's go ahead and get right into it. There's a lot of cool stuff here. So starting off from Kotobukiya, they had a new Death Stranding 2 model kit there. So we knew about the Ghost Mech coffins that's going to be coming out, but then they also unveiled a new Commander type version of that they're going to be coming out with as well. Basically just like a variation of the Ghost Mech coffins. And so that'll be interesting. And then interestingly enough, we did actually have a new frame arms announcement, sort of. So frame arms, you know, I wish that Kotobukiya would focus more on frame arms, but they just kind of don't really seem to that much these days, unfortunately. But we did have the Go-Rai 2 there on display as a new frame arms release that's going to be coming out. Unfortunately, it's just like kind of another new version of the Go-Rai. I wish they would kind of move on from that. But at least the Go-Rai 2, it's a new design. You know, it's just kind of in the Go-Rai series anyway. But it looks kind of cool. Definitely has like the look of having like tank parts like around on the mech, like it would almost transform into a tank kind of. But they had that, and then they also had next to it that the artwork for, of course, the Frame Arms Girl version of the Go-Rai 2, which will be coming out inevitably, as well as many different color versions and variations of that as well, I'm sure. They had their front mission Zenith Girl there on display. This is something that we've seen before. I don't know if we've seen a prototype of it before. I know we've seen artwork of it. Anyway, this is the first time definitely that we're seeing it like in full color, and it looks really cool. So I love that they're branching out with their like Mecha Girl series rather than just like kind of their own Frame Arms Girl properties, but to other properties as well, like this, for example, from Front Mission. So that looks really awesome. Looking forward to that. In their Mega Man line of model kits, they've got their Mega Man X Iris model kit that's going to be coming out. So those of you guys who are fans of their Mega Man series kits, I think I've built maybe just one. I think I've only built the one, but it was really nice, and they're great kits. And then speaking of Frame Arms Girl, okay, a lot of other Frame Arms Girl stuff they had there here, for example, like the Kishitsui Otsu. This is a version of the Kagutsuchi Ko Frame Arms Girl kit that's going to be coming out. That'll be coming out first with just the regular Kagutsuchi Ko Type 48 kit. And then the Otsu is like kind of a variation of that, where instead of like a big shield and rifle, it's got this big sword. So just like the red version of the Type 48. They're going to have a Frame Arms Girl version of that. And so the color prototype that we saw for that looks great. So that one looks really nice. Looking forward to that. And they had artwork and a couple of other new things on display Frame Arms Girl wise. The Durga 1 Cat Armor Calico version. So it's Durga 1 Frame Arms Girl Cat Armor is one that I think we have like 2 versions of already. And so I think the Calico version I think is going to make the 3rd version of that. So another one of those. The Durga 2 Noir version, obviously another Durga variation. The Durga 2 in this kind of black kind of noir coloration version of that. Kind of interesting. So we saw what that's going to look like. Also the Stylet swimsuit, the swimsuit version of the Stylet, and the low visibility version of that. So another kind of version of the Stylet Frame Arms Girl there. And then also artwork again for the Ray Fox, which I believe we've seen that before. And I think the Ray Fox is one that they've been like teasing about making in the Frame Arms Girl line for a long time, it feels like. Sort of like how they did for the Kagutsuchi Ko, how that we had artwork for that for years before that one's finally coming out. Feels the same for the Ray Fox as well, but that's supposedly maybe coming out next year as well. And they also had the Frame Arms Girl, the Frame Music Girl Snow Miku is another one that we've had out before, but now we're having another color. It's actually called another color version of that, which sounds like like in English, that sounds like not really a good name for it. It's like another color version. Okay, like it's an eye roll title, but I think in Japanese, they just kind of, it doesn't have that same kind of feeling. I get the sense because I've seen other, especially I think like other different Kotobukiya stuff, they call it like another color version, something like that before. And I don't think that it just kind of means the same thing to them. But anyway, a new Frame Arms Girl Miku kit. And then honestly, a whole lot of new Sosai Shoujo Teian stuff, Arcanadia stuff, Megami Device stuff, and also just some like MSG, the modeling support goods like weapons and things like that. I'm not going to go through every single release just because there was a lot, and it's just a lot. And I think I'll show you just like some of the images of some of the stuff they had there, and just kind of I wanted to take a moment to just maybe just make the point that I really worry that Kotobukiya is like oversaturating their releases of these kits, especially of like the girl pla or like the Mecha Musume type model kits in this case for like Arcanadia and Sosai Shoujo Teian and Megalomaria as well. They're not necessarily like Mecha Musume in the same way as Frame Arms Girl and Megami Device maybe are, but they're just really putting out a lot of these kits these days, and I just worry that it's too much because every other company is now too. Even if it was only Kotobukiya, it would be a lot, but Kotobukiya is putting out a lot, but then they're also, not only that, they're also competing against all the other companies that are as well. So there's just really an oversaturation of these girl plot kits these days, I feel like. And I know that they're selling well for Kotobukiya. That's why they're making a lot, is because they're selling a lot, but I think they're just probably getting to a point now where it's like they need to dial it back and not be putting out so much of this now. But I mean, I don't know what their internal data looks like, but I have to imagine that this stuff sells like just like as a percent better in Japan than it does overseas. I mean, even here in Japan, or even here outside of Japan, here in the US, I mean, the stuff sells pretty well. In Japan, I think it probably sells even better, and that's kind of like their main focus there, and that's why they're making so many of these releases. But I just have to think that there's gotta come a point where they have to, rather than ramping it up continuously, they have to like either like start leveling it out or dialing it down a bit with the amount of these releases that they're coming out with. I love the kits. They're great. But I just think that there's just such an oversaturation of them that there's just no way consumers can keep up with all these releases. So anyway, let's move on to Wave then, where we had a couple of really cool things here from Wave. Number one, a couple of cool new Maschinenkrieger model kits from Wave. The Maschinenkrieger Panzer Sparwagen. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that because I cannot pronounce anything in German. But this is coming out next year for 7,800 yen, kind of a version of the Nutcracker, sort of, but like this looks really, really cool. I'm really looking forward to that one. Really want to check that kit out. I'm really excited for that. It looks great. And then not only that, they have the Owl, or the Panzerkampf Anzug auf O. The Owl, yes, suits. These are both in 120 scale there from Wave. So a couple of really awesome new Maschinenkrieger kits there. Then Wave is also kind of like Orange Cat Industries. They do the production for them. So Orange Cat Industry is coming out with a new Levitane model kit here, which looks really awesome, from Full Metal Panic. And I don't know what it is. Is this year like an anniversary of Full Metal Panic or something? Because all of a sudden there's like a few Full Metal Panic kits that are coming out this year. And there's another one we'll talk about a little bit later. Another couple of them coming out a little bit later from a different company, but I don't really know why randomly, suddenly, again, like more Full Metal Panic stuff is coming out. Hopefully someday maybe Bandai might actually reprint their HG Full Metal Panic kits, would be nice for anybody that missed those when they first came out. Otherwise, from Wave, we did also have a 1/35 scale new Scope Dog Red Shoulder kit they're going to be coming out with, as well as their 1/35 scale Fatty kit as well from Votom. So a couple of new Votoms kits there from Wave I wanted to point out to you guys. Hasegawa didn't have a whole lot. Unfortunately, Hasegawa did not have, at least from what I saw, any new Maschinenkrieger kits, which is usually what I would look for from Hasegawa. But they did have like a big display there for their new ASG girls. So again, like I was saying, every other company is now making these model kits. Hasegawa's series of ASG girls looks very similar to 30 Minutes Missions from Bandai, although of course at a higher price point, just being from Hasegawa instead of Bandai, but they are very, very similar looking to 30 Minutes Missions, but these do look really nice. Previously, they had these designs as just like, I think 1/12 scale, I think it was the scale of them, as just like character figure resin kits. Now they're making them as like plastic model kits that are actually, like I said, very much like, did I say Frame Arms Girls? 30 Minutes Sisters. Anyway, 30 Minutes Sisters releases anyway, is what these look like. And so these are going to be plastic model kits now that are, have option parts and then fully articulated and everything, rather than just fixed pose resin character figures. Definitely there's a lot more market. I think Hasegawa saw the writing on the wall finally and realized there's a lot more market to make these as like articulated plastic model kits. People are going to just eat them up so much more than if they're, scale resin character figures. So good on them. I'm looking forward to those. Of course, looking forward to checking out any new line of kits like that. So hopefully I can get my hands on those couple of first ones that are going to be coming out in that series. Then moving on to Max Factory / Goodsmile Company / Plamax here. Another really cool new Machining Krieger release here coming out from Plamax is going to be the Hornus. It's a design that I don't think there's ever been any plastic model kit of this. Was there an old plastic model kit from Nito? Maybe there was. Maybe this only existed as like a resin kit that you could get. Although I'm not sure if there was previously ever a plastic model kit of this or not. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, there is going to be now, and it looks awesome. So really looking forward to this. That looks really cool. They had a really nice display there set up for this. Looks like it's going to be molded in this nice molded silver for the base plastic color. And then, of course, they had Max's painted version there as well on display, which looks fantastic. So really looking forward to that. A lot of really cool new Machining Krieger stuff coming out. So it's a really good time to try out Machining Krieger if you guys haven't yet, because we got a lot of really cool model kits coming out these days in that series. So that's awesome. In the Moderoid line, they have two different versions of the Swordfish 2 from Cowboy Bebop coming out. I don't know why they're releasing two at like around the same time, but one is in a smaller 1/72 scale. One is in the larger 148 DX scale. I would definitely opt for the larger DX scale one because it looks like it's, just more parts, more detail and everything. It looks really cool. But if you want something a bit smaller, simpler, the 1/72 scale Swordfish 2 also going to be available. A few new releases here in the Moderoid Titanomakia series here from Naoki. We had the Legato Edge Blue version, and I think these are all just kind of like variations of these different designs here, which all the Titanomakia mecha are kind of variations sort of anyway. But aside from the Legato Edge Blue version, we have the Sakura Arashi Pink version and the Graf Faust Sand Yellow version. So those are going to be coming out. Looking forward to those. Those kits are great. If you guys have not yet tried any of the Titanomakia Moderoid kits, I definitely would recommend those as well. They had a big display once again for their AAA Wonder from Evangelion. I'm not sure how that's meant to be pronounced, but the ship from Evangelion is going to be coming out. They had a huge display for this, I feel like, at the last hobby show in the spring, which would have been Shizuoka, I think, and another big display for this. So that one looks really cool as a big plastic model kit. I think the box for that's going to be like huge because it's going to be very large and a lot of these like big, very intricate parts and everything that need to be packaged like really well. So it's going to be a big kit and I'm looking forward to it. It looks cool. I'm not sure if I'll get it or not, just because it's really cool. And, I love Evangelion, but I don't know if I like really love it that much to want to get that kit, but it's definitely something very unique for sure. Then there's going to be a new model kit here of the VF1J Armored Valkyrie. So Hasegawa previously made a model kit of this not too long ago, just a few years ago, and I actually did a review on one. They came out with, I think, 2 or 3 different versions of that, basically. But now Max Factory has got their Armored Valkyrie that's going to be coming out here as well, which looks really nice also. So I think that one, though, I think will be pros and cons between the two different companies' versions of this design. But I'm looking forward to checking out the Max Factory or the Plamax one here. I think that'll be nice. Speaking of Minimum Factory, so Minimum Factory is coming up on their 100th release, which I usually don't talk a whole lot about, like Minimum Factory stuff. I'm a big fan of the Minimum Factory model kits, and I have a bunch of them here. I don't paint them or build them very often. Something I would like to do more of, but they're like just like small plastic, usually 120 scale character model kits. But for the celebration of the 100th release in that series, they're doing a version 2.0 of the Nene character, which I don't know if she was the first one. No, definitely not, right? She's definitely not the first one. But she's a Shunya Yamashita design, so love the character design and looking forward to this new release as like a version 2.0 version of Nene in that line. And the last thing I'll mention here is From Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, Motoko Kusanagi here is going to be coming out in the Plamatia line. So the Plamatia line is one, I think we've checked out 1 or 2 in that series so far. Pretty cool line of different, again, like plastic model kit, character, anime and game character model kits in this line. So Kusanagi-san would be cool in that line. It's the standalone complex version, which people have their, some people like that version more. Some people like the original movie version more. I mean, it's all kind of cool for me. I don't know. Do you guys have a favorite version of Kusanagi? Up next then from Kyoto, moving on to Kyoto here, just a couple of things. The Artpla Mini Eva set was something that was like kind of a lot of people were hyped about there at the show. It seems like I saw loads of people taking photos of that on Twitter. Basically, Artpla's been coming out with their Evangelion like statue model kits. But this one's going to be a set of 3 minis. So obviously Eva Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 0. Here in this little mini set, and I think the MSRP for it was only like 4,000 yen or something, so like very affordable for a set of like 3 mini Evangelion model kits, so those look really nice. They also have another Machining Krieger kit that I'm looking forward to here, the land battle version of the Gans. That one's going to be coming out in their Machining Krieger Artpla series as well, which I still have not built any of the Machining Krieger Artpla kits, although I have a bunch of them. I've not built any yet. Still need to do that. That is, yet again, another Machining Krieger kit that I'm really looking forward to. I'm a big fan of the Gans design, and this one looks really, really cool. So I cannot wait for that. They also have their new model kit of King Ghidorah coming out. So we saw recently, was the last hobby show or the one before that? They've got their Artpla Godzilla kit that they're coming out with, and now this King Ghidorah kit as well they're coming out with as well. So it's a model kit, plastic model kit, but basically just builds as like a fixed pose statue there. So those are really cool. Check those out. From Aoshima, then here we've got the Axe Type J9 Griffin from Patlabor, of course. So it's the new version of the Griffin. I think we're just seeing it as just the prototype there, but just the mold and everything on this looks really, really nice. That one's going to be coming out in Aoshima's Axe series, which, what would I compare it to? It's not exactly, it's like MG size, I think, usually, in terms of like the size of the kits, but it's not going to be as complex as something like an MG necessarily, but sort of similar to like Moderoid, basically. It's like Aoshima's version of Moderoid. And then more Godzilla stuff in their Plafig line, which again is just basically like fixed posed plastic model kits of 2 different versions of Godzilla and also Destroya there, which look really nice. Just kind of the details and the mold on those look really good. Those are like a little bit smaller though, I think, compared to like the Artpla kits. I think are definitely bigger. And the Plafig ones I think are a bit more like kind of HG size. That's what they look like there, but those look really cool. Cavico has a couple of really cool things here as well. So first of all, their Buster Maiden is one that we have seen before as a prototype. Now they had the full color Buster Maiden there on display, and we can see images of what the Buster Maiden is going to look like there. That looks really cool. It's a little plastic model kit. New versions of the Nachin, of the original Nachin, and also the Nachin Agitator, which looks like basically a cement mixer variation of the Nachin. If you guys are not following Moi-san, who's the designer for the Nachin designs, the artist behind them, on Twitter, he posts like all these different variations of the Nachin, and very few of them end up being made into model kits because they can only make so many. But this is a really cool variation that I'm glad to be seeing coming out in model kits. And what's interesting about these is the scale. So these are in a new scale. These are in 1/48 scale. So previously the Nachin Choipla kits were in 1/100 scale. And so these being in 1/48 scale are going to be like a little bit bigger, not quite as big. So Kotobukiya's versions are 1/35 scale. These are going to be in between at 1/48. They're going to be not as big as Kotobukiya's, but bigger than the Choipla kits. So anyway, a nice size for those, and nice to see that we're getting some of the variants in there as well. Also, more variants, speaking of Choipla, of their Choipla Votoms kits here. They've got a set of 5 different Votoms armor troopers that are going to be coming out here in this resin color set, and they all have like kind of different equipment and backpacks and stuff on them. So that set looks really cool. They look great just in like the resin colors like that. But again, very detailed. We've taken a look at a few different Choipla Votoms releases here on the channel, and those kits are really nice, fun, simple, small little kits, but really nicely detailed. Like those. And then most importantly, they're coming out with a new 1/20 scale version of the Armodius. And this one is something that they had previously in the Choipla line. It's just like a little fixed pose Choipla model kit of the Armodius. But now this full like 1/20 scale version looks really, really cool, super cool design. The details and the colors and everything on this look fantastic. So really looking forward to that. That looks really, really cool. Not only did they have that one there on display, they also had a teaser there for a couple of other variations or a couple of other kind of similar kits that I guess they might be coming out with in the future as well. I think it was the Bool Left and the Red Bright they had there as a teaser as well. So those all look really, really cool. All right, next up, then moving on to Kadokawa. Kadokawa has some more of the Full Metal Panic stuff. So I mentioned there was going to be more Full Metal Panic. The Azure Raven is going to be coming out in 148 scale here from Kadokawa. 148 scale, I believe that's the same scale that Bandai's model kits were. No, Bandai's were 172nd. And the Aoshima kits were 148. I might have that wrong. I'm not sure exactly. But anyway, the Azure Raven looks really cool. That design is not one that we've seen in plastic model kit form before, at least as far as I know, unless it's like something like way old or something. But so that design is going to be really cool. But then they're also going to be making a model kit version of the Arbalest there. We obviously have seen different versions of the Arbalest come out in plastic model kits, but it's cool to see another company, you know, like I said, making some more Full Metal Panic kits. I don't really know why, kind of all of a sudden. I mean, I know it's a like popular property, but that's cool. All right, a couple more things here. One thing from X Plus that I wanted to mention. X Plus, you know, makes these cool, again, like basically plastic model kits, but they're fixed pose statue kind of stuff, very similar to like Artpla. X Plus had something really interesting as they have their first in a series of Nikke releases. So the mobile game Nikke, I used to play, I don't play anymore. It just kind of stopped being fun at all. But anyway, they had their model kit there of Alice on display. This is something that we had seen before, so it's not brand new, but we could see the like unpainted and painted versions of their Alice kit that's going to be coming out. So that looks awesome. Really cool to see something like that as like an actual plastic model kit. So that's cool. And then they also had teasers here for Rappy and Neon from the series, as well as possible future releases. So stay tuned for those. It's cool to see stuff like this coming out as plastic model kits rather than just like resin kits. Resin kits are not only just harder to get and they're much more expensive, but as plastic model kits, you know, the companies can produce them. They're much cheaper and easier to produce, much cheaper for us as the consumers, easier to get. So I'm a big fan. Last thing, Bellfine is a company we don't really ever talk about here on the channel, but as they just kind of haven't really made anything that I've really built before, but they had some really cool new stuff there that I'm definitely looking forward to. Hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on. Number one, TANKHEAD Type 33 Keikegani model kit here of this cool like sci-fi walking spider tank sort of thing. That looks super fun. That looks really awesome. I really, really hope I can get a chance to build that. Just very cool design there. And then from Blade Runner 2049, I think they had this teased before, but I don't know if I've talked about it before. So they had in 1/32nd scale both K's spinner and also Deckard's police spinner here in 1/32nd scale from, like I said, Blade Runner 2049, which I love. I'm a huge fan of. So really hope that I could get my hands on those. Those look awesome. And then not only that, they also had a Deckard's Blaster as a 1-to-1 scale model kit there that they're going to be coming out with. That looks really cool as well. So hopefully I can get those because those look awesome. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of the movie. And so I'm really looking forward to that stuff. And my hope is that maybe in the future, Bellfine will also make some stuff from like other Denis Villeneuve movies like Dune, of course, or just more stuff from Blade Runner 2049. I don't know exactly what it would ultimately be. I mean, those are kind of like the main things that they could really make necessarily as model kits, but I don't know. What other kind of like movie type of things like that would you guys like to see as model kits? Let me know in the comment section. But that just about covers everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. Like I said, this is not comprehensive of everything, but you guys can check out like the Dengeki Hobby magazine website is a great way to check out kind of everything that was there at the show, or at least like kind of most things that were there at the show. Like I said, guys, you can check out some of the new releases that are available for pre-order on the website down in the video description below for USA Gundam Store. Any new stuff, especially from Kotobukiya, is like the main thing. Some of the other companies are like hit and miss. Some stuff like Max Factory, we get some of that stuff. Other companies like Hasegawa, we get, and like Kyoto, we don't really get a whole lot of that stuff here at USA Gundam Store, unfortunately, but you know, you guys can check out everything that's available for pre-order on the website. And yeah, if you somehow missed my previous video about going over everything that Bandai had there on display, you can check that video out. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.